Hey everyone, it's Nia. I am live from the Honeycomb Hideout, the Black Muslim Girl Fly Hideout. There you go. So tonight's Talkback Tuesday. Welcome to all of our new people, and welcome to all of the old people who just haven't tuned in but are tuning in now. I had this super idea today, and I wanted to share it with everybody in this particular group. This group I started out of necessity, out of the need for support, out of the need for a safe space where you can ask questions and get that help that you need when working on your projects. And so I had this really cool idea. You guys know I'm working on the webinar, and the webinar was supposedly geared toward just focusing on one step of the process, the writing process, which is rewriting. That seems to be the part of the process that a lot of people have difficulty with. I personally do not have difficulty with rewriting, but I do commiserate with that because I have difficulty with another stage in the process, and I will tell you my secret later. But tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a little freestyling on Talkback Tuesday because everybody who's in this group was either invited or they were here when we first started, and it was only maybe 10 other people, and now we're up to over 100. So that's cool, you know. Give yourselves a big round of applause because you've stuck it out. You've been here through the good times and the bad. Yes, I've been doing Talkback Tuesday for, it seems like, at least a couple of years. So today is freestyle a little bit because if you are following BMG Fly Talks, which is the live talk show that I do every Monday at 6:30, you probably got to meet my daughter. And that was during the episode which was about Nia. And I answered 10 questions, and there is a story there that I will be working on with my daughter, who just happens to be a writer as well. So I'm going to give my daughter a little evil eye over here because she's a little nosy, a little noisy across from me. But she should be stopping this game that she's playing and then paying attention because tonight is a little bit geared toward her as well. So Saliha, I'm going to start talking about the writing process. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the writing process is because it's going to go back to my really cool idea regarding the webinar. So, like I was saying, everybody in this group is a creative. You either write stories, or you write TV shows, or you write movies, or you want to write stories, TV shows, or movies. You write novels, or poetry, or plays. Whatever it is, you create a story. That's why you're here. And every story starts with an idea and goes through a process called the writing process that you probably learned in elementary school. I know this because I'm an elementary school teacher, a former elementary school teacher. And the writing process will save your life with regard to understanding the structure of creating your own story. So there are 5 steps. Some people say there are 7, but I'm going to go with the process I use, which is a 5-step process. And then I'm going to show you how this ties back into it. I started off with everybody being a creative, creating stories. For this idea, I had a gift for you. So anyway, so going to the main topic of Talkback Tuesday is the writing process. And just so you know, oh, hey, Jerica, I see you. Thanks for the thumbs up. Just so you know, I'm in the middle of several different projects. I just finished producing a feature-length comedy stand-up special, and we're in post-production. And now I'm in the pre-production process for another short film for which I received a generous amount of funding. And when I issued my treatment for the script, my financiers were so pleased with it, they decided they wanted to rally and get me more funding because of the way that I changed the storyline. And that story is called Shattered Lenses. I have hired a producer because for this project, I am in the position of director. I am not producing, although I am kind of producing pre-production. While I'm shooting on set during my favorite part of the process of shooting film, I will be just directing while we're on production. So anyways, yes, that's where I am right now in between projects, and I'm working on this webinar to help all of you guys out there who asked me for a workshop on rewriting. So now I'm going to tie it all together. So I had this bling idea. Instead of doing the webinar, do one of my workshops, but online. So I usually have these create your own content workshops in person, and it's a full day of learning. I created the curriculum, and one curriculum is strictly for screenwriting, and the other curriculum is for production, film production, and each has its own process. Today we're going to talk about the writing process, not the filmmaking process. And because there is no filmmaking process without the story, that's the organic place to start. Now, some of you have given me your questions, your feedback, what you need help with, support with the most, rewriting being one. And now I'm going to reveal my secret. My hardest stage of the writing process is the writing. Yes, this is something nobody else knows. So outside of this group, you're not to tell anyone. Keep it on DL. Okay, so with that, let's go through the 5 steps. The first step is brainstorming. This is your pre-writing. This is when you get your idea. Like, this is when you get the thought that, oh, I think Henry decides to have an affair with a woman who he thinks is a school teacher but is a spy, and he doesn't know how to handle it when she reveals she has an assassination job. That's your idea. Boom. See how quickly I came up with that, like off the top of my head? That's your pre-writing, because not every idea like that is worth pursuing. So this is the part of the writing process where you can throw things away. Just go crazy with your ideas and write them down. Writing them down or typing them down is very important, because one of those ideas may seem like trash right now, but in about 5 years, it might be very relevant, and you're going to go back to it and say, oh, look at that. I was ahead of my time. I'm speaking from experience. So save all of your wacky ideas. Then once you've decided what you want to write, what your story is, this is where you solidify it before you move to the second stage, which is writing, drafting, some people say. My nemesis is what I call it, but you need to have 3 things. You need to have a log line, a tagline, and a summary. Basically, your summary is your beginning, middle, and end. You should know how your story is going to end. You should know what happens in the beginning, the middle, and the end in a short way. You're going to fill in the meat later. That's one. You should also know your tagline. You know, a tagline is a yippee-ki-yay from Die Hard. And I did not say the word out loud, but I was saying it. So that's an example of a tagline. A log line would be what I just said about the story of the man, Henry, who decides, yes, he is in love with his wife, and he's going to go along as her sidekick as an assassination attempt on X, Y, and Z. And so that's what you need. Your three things: tagline, logline, and summary. That's when you know you're finished with stage one. Now, on to my nemesis, the writing. So here's why writing is the hardest stage for me. Yeah, you said it out loud. Exactly. So here's why writing's the hardest. Drafting is the hardest stage for me because it means I have to sit my butt down. I have to sit down with my pen and my paper, and I have to actually physically write. Some of you have to type, and it's the hardest kickstarting point because you know what you want to write, but your brain says it's gotta be perfect. Or my brain says it's gotta be perfect. And that's why I don't sit. Or I sit for a few minutes and I hold my pen in my hand and then I give up. It's this ritual that I go through. I mean, ultimately, I do craft something, as you guys know, because I have a body of work. But just imagine all of the unfinished, like I was saying before, keep all those wacky, zany ideas that I have on the shelf. So the key to conquering the writing stage is to just sit and be patient. And it's like I told my daughter, it's like running. Running and writing are the same. You just have to get started. That's the hardest part. And then once you've started, you'll build the momentum and then you won't want to stop. As I've said before, I've had sessions where I wrote for like 3 hours straight. I didn't even feel like it. That's flow. And, you know, when I get those, then it's worth the torture of sitting down. So yeah, so that's the biggest chunk of the process. Got your brainstorming where you develop your logline, tagline, and summary, and then you have your writing where you actually do what I call the vomit draft, where you just spit out every idea into your work that you think will work. Oh yeah, the vampire lover, yes, throw him in there. The scary drug dealer, yes, throw him in there. The princess who wants to be an astronaut, yes, throw her in there as well. Don't leave anything out. This you have permission to do. And because the next step is the toughest step for other people. After you've done your vomit draft, spit out all your ideas into your writing. The next step is rewriting. And for other people, getting in the seat for that is torture. Putting your butt down and taking a look at everything that you've crafted and not wanting to get rid of anything is torture for those people. However, I enjoy it like a nice fine sculpture. I like to cut away, and to quote one of my favorite authors, Stephen King, you need to be prepared to kill your darlings. Trust me. Because one of the ideas that you wrote may be the one, or the one may come later while you're whittling away and you figure out that, oh, this idea and this idea together makes this even more rich, gives it even more layers. So that's the fun part of the rewrite process, where you can take what you have, this giant slab of clay, this beautiful brick of marble, whichever one you prefer, and you shape it and you carve at it, and that's your rewriting process. You cut away things that don't move your story forward. You take out the character that just doesn't really arc, because there's a rule that I like to follow. Everyone arcs, not just your main character. Everyone has an arc, no matter how tiny. So just be prepared to cut away things that are not moving your story forward. Cut out the characters that don't really have depth or have an arc, and always stick to your logline, your main premise. Be true to that, because if you stray off of that, then you're going to have these little, what I call tributary kind of chapters or scenes that are really nice and add pizzazz to your story, but do not move the story forward. And yes, you must cut those. Yes, you must. Yes, you must. Yes, master. I will tell you over and over again. Okay. And so then once you've finalized your masterpiece that you think is finished, my dear, it's never finished. Then you move into the editing stage. And that's also, I like to call fun, because I get to correct my grammar. I get to correct my spelling. Yes, I'm a nerd. So if you're not a nerd and you don't like to correct your spelling, yep, Layla. If you don't like to do those kinds of things, hire someone to edit for you. That's right. And if you're a grammar Nazi like I am, editing's fun. So fix those punctuation errors, and this is also another time to trim dialogue. Some sentences can be made more succinct. You don't need those extras. For example, you don't need that. You don't need and thens, those kinds of things usually come out in editing. Now, once you've done that, you have created a first draft with one rewrite. You are not finished. You are not finished. Once you've done that, then get feedback from your peers, because, hey, you might have missed that typo, or, that character seems to flatten out in Act 3, or, any number of things that you might have overlooked. And then that fresh set of eyes, and preferably 3. 3 is a really good number because you have a tiebreaker. And one of them should be what I call, and which I get from Stephen King, your ideal reader. The one person who's going to read it and not hold back, the very critical, and they love your work, but they're very critical of your work. You must have at least one person like that, and that's your perfect reader. I have one person like that, and his name is Bilal. He's my youngest sibling. He's my youngest brother, and he is 23 years old. And the other 2 people could be anyone in your profession, or a coworker, or a writer's group that you belong to. Now that brings me all the way back to my main idea at the top. Yeah, you think I'm bugging because I love editing, Layla. I see your comment. So it all goes back to my main topic. This webinar, I think I'm going to put on hold, even though I have a lot of people who want to rewrite webinar, because it dawned on me that we should take 31 days and draft our first draft together. And I think it'd be fun. And so I have a curriculum, as I said, that I do in person. I'm thinking of adapting for the internet. And everyone in this group, you are going to have the opportunity to try it out with me at like extremely low VIP, like nobody else kind of rates. Because if it's as good as I think it's going to be, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. I have all these really great ideas on how to help you through not only the writing process, but those roadblocks that we like to call writer's block, which doesn't exist, just letting you know. Now, this program that I'm going to do online with a select 15 people, Facebook group, accept 15 people into what I call a cohort. And we will work for 31 days of writing to create your first draft, including a rewrite, your first rewrite. Now, here's the thing about the writing process. It never ends. Because once you've finished, even though you've published, you may want to go back and rewrite some more when you get feedback from your audience, or if you don't work in the medium that's as fluid like that, you might change it around for the next book if you're writing a book in a series, or you might want to change it around for another script. But you always loop back to the rewrite process. Rewriting is always done over and over and over again. But thank God I don't have to go back to the writing stage once I'm done. So here's what I'm going to do. This will be a beta version of an online workshop with 15 select writers, creators, and you'll get it at a very deep discount, and we will work together over 31 days. Some live stream, some pre-recorded, but get you through your first draft of whatever it is you're writing and your first rewrite in 31 days. And you'll also have the luxury of having feedback from peers, because I will be choosing 15 top people who know what their story is, who just need direction, who want that community feel and hear that kind of feedback. And so stay tuned, because I'm going to post up a few more things here in the group. And if you're not as active in the group right now, no problem. Come back, because once we've done the beta testing, yes, I am going to be charging full price. So, but if you are interested in this 31-day program, DM me. You can send me a message here, or if you know my other contact info offline, which is my favorite way of interacting with people, you can text me and get on that list. Some of the people who are in our Hot Writers group are not in Create Your Own Content group, but they still qualify as well because they are part of Hot Writers group. So yeah, and I will be back with more info by Friday. I think I should have accumulated my list, and then I will talk to those 15 people, and we will go through this beta testing. And like I said, keep it on the low, because you're going to get like deep discount, because I like you. And because I have this really great idea that I know you will benefit from. So with that being said, the writing process is the pre-writing, brainstorming, the writing, actually drafting, sitting down and rewriting comes next, where you go back and you cut away things or you add some things. Let's be positive. Then you have to go through that editing stage, which I love because I'm just a grammar nerd. And finally, you publish and you get feedback at that stage. And then if you get really great feedback at that stage, you loop back to rewriting and you rewrite again, because one rewrite is never enough. Never enough. Okay, so we're going to close out tonight, and I want to thank you guys for hanging in there, especially you, Layla. I see your comments. I hope I see you in my DMs, because that I can actually online, and you guys are going to try it out at like almost free 99. So anyways, like I said, if you're interested, DM me. You can always email me directly at neomalikadixon@gmail.com. And like I said, if you know my phone number offline, you can text me. And that's it. If you have questions, now's the time for Q&A. Post up your questions before we sign off. And I will see you guys before the end of the week with all my cool ideas. But in the meantime, if you have questions, write them down. And I will leave you with this one piece of advice. If you have an idea, don't let it slip away. Like, keep paper and pen around your house so that you can just write down your ideas. I actually used to have these shower notes where I would not, because I always get good ideas in the shower, and I will not miss my chance to write down my idea. But yes, always have paper ready, always have your notes app ready. And second piece of advice is to just stay determined, stay focused, follow through. And if there aren't any more questions or awesome comments like from Layla, I love it, thank you. we're going to sign off and say goodbye. And then I will definitely jump back in here before Friday ends. That's my goal, to give you the finalized way to sign up for this 31-day workshop to create your first draft, no matter what it is, no matter what format, no matter what genre. I will help you create your first draft and rewrite in 31 days. So I will catch you guys on the next one, next Tuesday. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for coming. Leave your questions and your comments, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.